away to my Father, but I will return.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I further bear witness that Allah came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, and that he raised the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and has placed him on the throne of power over creation. And I further bear witness that the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is his Christ, the Lamb of God, through whom Allah is establishing his eternal kingdom. Assalamu alaikum. I am Karriem Allah, and thank you for taking time to view this very important message. We will begin with these verses from the Holy Quran. Behold, Allah said, O Jesus, I will take thee and raise thee to myself, and clear thee of the falsehoods of those who blaspheme. I will make those who follow thee superior to those who reject faith to the day of resurrection. Then shall ye all return unto me, and I will judge between you of the matters wherein ye dispute. Now, these verses encapsulate the extraordinary controversy involving the departure of the Messiah from among the people. And since the Messiah is a function and not a personality per se, then this verse was applicable to some degree to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and is applicable to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. We say applicable because the Holy Quran alludes to two circumstances involving the departure of the Messiah, although most Quranic scholars link these two controversies together. However, because a case could be made that these two events that surrounds the Messiah's departure from among the people, then we can reason that these two circumstances refer to the presence of two Messiahs. This would mean that the Holy Quran supports the traditions of the two Messiahs associated with the religion of Judaism. This belief is based upon interpretations of specific Messianic prophecies in the Old Testament of the Bible. Now, as far as Islamic tradition is concerned, the anticipation that the great Mahdi in the Messiah will be present at the end of this world, the last days, can be contrasted to the tradition of the two Messiahs in Judaism. Well, we will consider the Quranic prophecy in Surah 4, chapter 4, verse 57, regarding the other circumstance of the Messiah's departure at another time, Allah willing. Now, many English translations of the Holy Quran differ on the phrase in Surah 3 that we just read, verse 55. Behold, Allah said, O Jesus, I will take thee and raise thee to myself. Now that comes from the Abdullah Yusuf Ali English translation of the Holy Quran, which is a very popular translation. Well, here's this phrase in a few other English translations of the Holy Quran. From the Maulana Muhammad Ali translation, it states, when Allah said, O Jesus, I will cause thee to die and exalt thee in my presence. Then from the Muhammad Habib Shakir translation, it states, and when Allah said, O Isa, I am going to terminate the period of your stay on earth and cause you to ascend unto me. Now, Muhammad Pickthall states in his translation, and remember, when Allah said, O Jesus, lo, I am gathering thee and causing thee to ascend unto me. And finally, we have another translation by Muhammad Sawar. He, Allah, told Jesus, I will save you from your enemies and raise you to myself. So these are 5 translations of this verse, Quranic verse in Surah 3, chapter 3, verse 55. Now, as we observe these verses, we can understand why there is agreement among Quranic scholars that Allah, the Supreme Being, takes Jesus away from among the people. No doubt about that. However, there's no agreement among Quranic scholars as it relates to the death and details on how Allah will go about taking the Messiah to himself, as indicated in these different variations of this verse. However, only Maulana Muhammad Ali's translation mentions the possibility that the Messiah's departure occurs through a controversy involving the announcement that the Messiah has died. Now, overall, Quranic scholars agree that the Messiah is in fact alive when Allah takes him to himself. Allah ain't taking a dead man. He might as well just put him in the earth if he's going to be dead. Why go through all the trouble? So the Messiah is not dead when he's taken. Therefore, a great part of the controversy involving the Messiah's departure to Allah stems from the perceptions and beliefs of those who are responsible for reporting to the public the whereabouts of the Messiah as it relates to his health and mortality status, his sickness, or whether he's dead or not. That's what we mean by mortality. Now, we covered this in a previous message, this controversy, where in the Gospel of Luke, it was the centurion who perceived from afar that Jesus had died. It was also the centurion who affirmed for Pontius Pilate that Jesus was dead. So this centurion was at the helm. His perception and report regarding the death of Jesus, that was at the center of the controversy as to whether Jesus did in fact die at the hands of those responsible for his crucifixion on the cross. And since this same Messiah is prophesied to return as the Christ, then these events cannot and do not cover a span of 2,000 years. No man has lived for 2,000 years. So these prophecies affirm that the Messiah, who comes in the last days, which was not 2,000 years ago, is not to die at the hands of his enemies. Now, when we consider this prophecy of the Messiah's imminent departure from among us, in the same light of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's own words regarding the circumstances of his departure, where he stated, "If they tell you that I am dead, don't believe it." He said that or something similar to that on a few occasions, if we're listening. Well, then several considerations come to mind. First, who is the they who can potentially make such an announcement? Second, this they clearly do not believe in the Messiah's own words regarding his departure and return. Well, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan in several recent messages also alluded to the responsibility of his family, the Farrakhan family, in reporting and handling the circumstances related to his departure from among the people to the Great Mother Plain. So it is doubtful that this they refers to the Farrakhan family, the family of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. And by the Farrakhan family, I'm referring to Mother Khadija Farrakhan and her children, whom we, as the world, have seen sitting up front on stage during the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's many Savior's Day addresses over the last several decades. 4. So who is this they that might be scheming to usurp and undermine the Farrakhan's family's rightful responsibility to keep the public abreast of the circumstances involved in the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's departure to the great mother plane, especially since those circumstances involve whether he is dead or alive. Now, why is this of the utmost importance? That is, that the Farrakhan family keep this potential assault on their rightful duty from occurring. Now, as I thought about these critical questions, which I just raised, and they are indeed critical, Allah brought into my mind the controversies involving gossip, slander, and treachery that often surrounds the health and mortality status of professional athletes and entertainers, and in other words, celebrities, public figures. Well, because celebrities are usually under a financial contract, they often have a manager or publicist responsible for communicating to the public on their behalf. And their families are often prevented from issuing official statements or any statement regarding those celebrities for fear of creating confusion. This is done to protect the financial investment of those who invested in that celebrity's career. We want to make sure that your family don't get involved because it may harm your career. And since we're financing it, we have a publicist who will speak on your behalf. And before you sign this contract, we have to require of you that your family say nothing. So sometimes you see statements by family members anonymous because they just want to have some input. Well, in this satanic world, where the satanic mass news media delights in causing mischief, especially as it relates to black celebrities, this is not the best position for the family of that celebrity to be in. Again, especially as it relates to matters of health or mortality. Why? Well, as the situation of that celebrity unfolds, the financiers behind that celebrity sometimes delay releasing official statements regarding that celebrity's status for several reasons, which are usually all of which are in the best interest of their bottom line. They also resist giving full details when they do issue official statements. Again, their aim is to protect their financial interests, even if that ultimately means dropping that celebrity in a well, so to speak. Nonetheless, this delay and lack of details or absence of details gives the mischief-making synagogue of Satan the window, in fact, the best window of opportunity to flood the public with false reports that this celebrity is somehow in dire circumstances due to causes that are unfounded and untrue, such as drug overdoses, etc. Well, death by drug overdose, as some people understand it, can nullify life insurance policies. They might consider it a suicide. So there's usually a frenzy among the money people to protect their interests, even if that means scandalizing that celebrity to rob that celebrity's family, heirs, of what they are justly due. So we're dealing with a satanic and demonic system. Now, obviously, we cannot stop the synagogue of Satan from making false reports through its demonic mass news media. We can't prevent them from doing that about anything. That's what they do. But in the effort to protect against the flood of false statements, those who really care about that celebrity and who also bear the brunt of any public scandal involving that celebrity must keep the public abreast of the situation right from the outset. You cannot afford to delay because he's already a public figure. So you can keep it private if you want to, but slander will go out. And you'll find yourself having to clean up a mess that you can't clean up. But I cannot think of any persons who fit both qualifications, meaning who would really care about that celebrity and who would bear the brunt of that celebrity being scandalized, except that celebrity's immediate family. Yet they are often kept out of the situation, as already explained. Now, as it relates to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's departure from among the people, which he's made clear and which is the talk, at least among the registered members of the Nation of Islam, I humbly encourage his immediate family, the Farrakhan family, to be very cognizant that efforts are at work to attempt to get out in front of your representation or their representation, meaning the Farrakhan family. Efforts are being made to get out in front of the Farrakhan's family's representation of the facts and circumstances regarding the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's departure to the great mother plane. Well, what we mean by circumstances, we got it here in the scriptures if we believe it, and we have it in the Bible too. In the Bible, as we have talked about several weeks ago, the Messiah leaves on the wings of two wings of an eagle, and flood follows him. But he's already involved in a flood of scandal and slander during the crucifixion. So from beginning to the end. Now, a little later, we'll explain how allowing such to occur, how allowing the proper representation by the Farrakhan family to be undermined will have immense implications on our ability to alleviate and even beat or eliminate the fulfillment of several prophecies associated with the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's departure from among the people. In other words, the lives of many people rest in the hands of the Farrakhan family. I'm going to say it again. The lives of many people rest in the hands of the Farrakhan family. See, sometimes you travel a long road, and this road may be a 40-year journey, but there's just one thing that you got to do along this journey, just one thing that determines the fate of the lives of millions of people. Well, I shared some thoughts with my wife about the most recent so-called official statement from the Nation of Islam regarding the public controversy involving Noah Green and the Capitol Police officers who were killed. Here's the statement. Well, I simply thought that the way that statement was written and presented was out of pocket, meaning unusual and inconsistent with how the Nation of Islam usually issues official statements. Because this specific statement issued, no one specifically claimed responsibility for issuing it, except an ambiguous and phantom we. Let me read one statement from here. I'm not saying it's not a good press release. I just don't know who wrote it. Who's this we? But anyway, this we speak on behalf of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, the members of his family, and all registered Muslim members of the Nation of Islam, and all people of goodwill everywhere, etc., etc. But there's no determination of who this phantom we is. Well, as a registered member of the Lost Foundation of Islam, under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Louis Farrakhan for more than 40 years as an adult, I have seen official statements issued by the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, by his student national assistant, or the student national assistant to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, Brother Ishmael Muhammad, on behalf of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, as well as statements issued by the Executive Council of the Nation of Islam on behalf of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. Most of which these statements were written on official Nation of Islam letterhead and downloadable from the internet or the website as PDFs. Most of them. There's some that were not downloadable, but they still bore a name. In fact, most bore the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's signature in his title. So again, exact names of persons and groups were mentioned in these press releases or official statements, and not an ambiguous or mysterious we. Now you could visit the NOI website for yourself and examine the press statements against the one that was just recently released regarding the controversy of Noah Green and the Capitol Police. So is this we that's mentioned here, and is we all over this statement? Is this we the National Executive Council of the Lost Foundation of Islam, which functions at the leisure of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan? Is that the we? If it is, then damn it, say it is. In addition, where is the name of the specific person responsible for issuing this official statement on behalf of the Executive Council? Is it the one who manages the web page? The website administrator? Well, if it is, then what is his or her name on this statement? Because we got to know that too. So I did not understand why this official statement was outside of the template that has been used for many decades in the Nation of Islam. And under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, we are taught to present actual facts, not a phantom we because that's not an actual fact. The public should know what person or group of persons by name has issued an official statement, especially if it is on behalf of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, which this one claims to be. So when I saw this official statement by this phantom we, meaning mysterious we, I was reminded of the verse involving the arrest of Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, where it states, "And he, Jesus, cometh unto the disciples and findeth them asleep, and saith unto Peter, What? Could ye not watch with me 1 hour?" Well, since all laborers of the Nation of Islam serve at the leisure of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, at the leisure, meaning you ain't over top of him, you're not in charge of him. He's not a celebrity under your contract. Since we serve at the leisure as a laborer, as laborers of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, I doubt if the Farrakhan family will be careless in leaving the responsibility of issuing official statements regarding the circumstances involving the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's departure to the great mother wheel or plane to some phantom we via the Nation of Islam website. But how could they keep that from happening without their knowledge and approval? Well, if you approve it, fine, if there's a system in place. And I would presume there is. But how tight are the controls over the content that is published through the Nation of Islam's website? Now, if the Farrakhan family cannot keep a tight grip on the controversy involving the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's departure, this will not bode well for billions of people who love him. Once false statements go out from what is perceived as the official source, it's difficult to call it back. So I pray that the Farrakhan family will keep this fact in mind. Now, what horrible consequences do we, the black people in the United States in particular, face regarding the manner in which the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's departure to the great mother plane is handled? Or you think the controversy don't involve the fate of black people here in America? And in the West Indies in particular? Well, your prophecies don't say that. The conspiracy was to kill Jesus and all of his people who are under the name Lazarus. Well, in the Gospels, Jesus gives this prophecy. He states, "Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake." Seems kind of odd because right now it seems the Honorable Louis Farrakhan has a great name. How does that change? How does that change? Somebody has to put forth the effort to change it. "And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many." Well, the departure of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan will naturally have an immense effect on every human being, especially on the black people of the Western Hemisphere. How so? Well, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's presence alone has suppressed the hatred that many have for others, that many people have for other people, especially the Caucasian people for black people. And unfortunately, some registered members for other registered members of the Nation of Islam. Hatred in the house, one towards the other. But his presence suppresses that. So when the Honorable Louis Farrakhan departs from among us, this hatred is expected to be manifested unfettered. And this is described in the following prophecy from the Old Testament in the book of Daniel. It states, "And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate." The overspreading of abominations is the crucifixion of the Messiah through the attack on his integrity, morality, Messianic mission, all of which involves the domestic life. And this is not a 1 day or 1 year event. It is a protracted battle against the evil forces of the synagogue of Satan, which includes those masquerading as believers and venomous hypocrites among the believers. So much is at stake. So again, I humbly advise the Farrakhan family to provide press briefings and not merely press statements. The public will need to see a face, someone in the Farrakhan family speaking on behalf of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, as well as the Farrakhan family. Now, why is that important? Well, there's the Nation of Islam, and we've already explained what that is. And then there's the Messiah, who is part of the Nation of Islam. But I'm going to say what I know, none of us had to jump over where we needed to jump over when bullets were coming through the Farrakhan family's home. None of us struggled and paid a price that you paid to see this day. So why in the hell should we have any input in conveying what the circumstances are involving the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's departure? And if you put that in the hands of a mysterious we, God help us all. Well, some of you may say, well, who are you, Karriem, to say these things? Well, I already told you who I am. I am directly from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who is on the Great Mother Plane. And my assignment is exclusive to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. He is my focus. So when I see what I perceive something may be brewing, unscrupulous, that involves him, damn it, I'm going to raise my voice. Allah guides me to do that. And nobody will do anything to harm me lest they find themselves deep in the grave. That's who I am. So I say whatever needs to be said on his behalf, and I'm born to do that. Now, keep in mind, the Nation of Islam is not a website. Oh, we got an official statement from the Nation of Islam through NOI.org. And the Nation of Islam headquarters is not in some building. The headquarters of the Nation of Islam is the eternal leader of the Nation of Islam. And that person is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan has made that fact emphatically clear. And if you're confused about this, then just watch his opening in every episode of his monumental series, The Time and What Must Be Done. You can start there. So your confusion over what the Nation of Islam is going to have some of you buried deep in the sand. Now let us return to the Quranic prophecies that describe the Messiah's controversial departure from among the people. So whoever has a little doubt in their mind, we can potentially remove that doubt. So again, it states regarding the Messiah's departure, behold, Allah said, not no phantom we. Allah said, O Jesus, I will take thee and raise thee to myself and clear thee of the falsehoods of those who blaspheme. Now there's agreement among Quranic scholars, again based on this verse, that Allah informed the Messiah of his plans to take the Messiah to himself. That's what's said. So the Messiah knew that in the end his destination was to the Father and not to some uncertain death where he would be placed 6 feet into the earth. Well, this is fulfilled in the words of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan on the Great Mother Plain. According to what we have learned and what the Honorable Louis Farrakhan said to us on many occasions, but at the official press conference in 1989 in Washington, D.C., he quotes, and he, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, said that I had one more thing to do, and when that one more thing was done, I could come again to the wheel, and I would be permitted to see him face to face. Furthermore, Allah also in this verse informs the Messiah that he would clear him of those who invented blasphemous accusations and slander that persisted even up to the time that Allah would take him from among the people. Now, this is consistent again with the prophecy in the book of Revelation regarding the flood of slander involved in the Messiah's crucifixion and his departure to the Father. Well, if this prophecy is to be fulfilled at this time, which I know it is, then we should settle on the reality that slander will be heavily involved in the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's crucifixion and departure to the Great Mother Plain. And this has certainly been substantiated through the slander against me that involves and extends to him. How so? Well, since an increasing number of people are referring to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan as the Jesus of the Bible, the Messiah now, then consider this prophecy regarding Jesus' words about John the Baptist. He states, He that have ears to hear, let him hear. But whereunto I shall liken this generation? It is like unto children sitting in the markets and calling unto their fellows and saying, we have piped unto you and ye have not danced, and we have mourned unto you and ye have not lamented. For John came neither eating nor drinking, and they say, he hath a devil. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, behold, a man gluttonous and a wine-bibber, a friend of politicians and sinners. But wisdom is justified of her children. Now, a man could be considered a glutton if he has many wives and is considered rich. So the condemnation of the Son of Man as a glutton and wine bibber refers to the immense slander or the imminent slander surrounding the Messiah's domestic life. As for John the Baptist, what did some people call me when I began proselytizing that the Honorable Louis Farrakhan was the Messiah? Not even the imminent Christ yet. I was called a hypocrite, a renegade, banned from the nation, out of my mind, insane. I lost it. Well, why would Jesus speak about John the Baptist? Because both were trying to convey something similar. John's in the wilderness. He's not eating or drinking. Jesus is among the people. He's not eating or drinking. I mean, he's eating and drinking. So in other words, when it comes to this message, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. People just have a hard time seeing. Well, how do you know how do you attempt, to keep false prophets from arising unless it is absolutely clear why the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is expected to return from the Great Mother Plain? And what does his prophesied departure in his prophesied return from the Great Mother Plain make him? What does that make him according to the Messianic Prophecies? So John the Baptist's job is essential. If you don't make that clear, then a lot of other prophecies unfold that will not be too good for any of us. Meaning making clear the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's imminent function as the Christ, specifically. So how can false prophets rise if everyone's expectation is that the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is the one who is poised to execute the function of the Christ? So your refusal to acknowledge my ministry regarding him is like cutting your own throats while you claim to believe in him. That's a sad state of affairs. And either you just not paying attention, either you don't care that much, or envy has just blinded you. Now, the synagogue of Satan will always associate the unrighteous behaviors of those attempting to follow the Messiah, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, to him. They'll connect those unrighteous behaviors to him. That's what the synagogue of Satan is going to do. They've always done that. But what does Allah say in the Holy Quran about this? That's what we want to know, because we're not going to spend our times complaining about what the devil is made to do. Because this is what our focus should be. What does Allah say? So in the Holy Quran it states, "Hearken to your Lord before there comes from Allah the day which there is no averting. You will have no refuge on that day, nor will it be yours to make a denial. But if they turn away, we have not sent thee as a watcher over them. Thy duty is only to deliver the message." So the Messiah stands alone as the one whom Allah has sent to deliver his message of warning and divine guidance. Allah then assesses the people's reception of his message coming through the Messiah. And that's everyone's reception, including those who come to support the Messiah by becoming registered members of the Nation of Islam. You register, you support. You don't register, you're still part of the Nation of Islam. Lost found Nation of Islam if you're here in America. Black, original people. All people. So the Nation of Islam is not the Messiah's organization. It is the eternal kingdom of Allah throughout the universe, governed by an eternal leader. So as a registered Muslim, the Messiah is not responsible for my deviation from the law of Allah. Not responsible at all. Now, the mass news media could do what they want to do and tie somebody's delinquent behavior to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. And other people around can fall for that. While you on a disco Friday night, drinking and acting a fool, then you see the paper the next morning or the news. Oh, wow, somebody at Farrakhan's organization did such and such. You think Allah care about that? You ain't serious. And he knows that. So popular opinion don't bother Allah at all, is what this book says. So if you want to be duped by the synagogue of Satan, you go right ahead. You won't be the first one. And until the kingdom of God is established, you won't be the last. So Allah makes it clear in the Holy Quran, the duty of the Messiah is to make the message clear. He's not a steward over us. He's not responsible for every little thing we do. I tell you what's right, what to do, and if you decide to do otherwise, that's on you. Now, everybody can understand that, especially if you have children. So the history of the lost foundation of Islam is proof that Allah's Messiah stands alone and that Allah is not a respecter of persons, regardless of who those persons might believe they are in Allah's plan. How so? Well, we've experienced the disintegration or shedding of the registered membership of the lost foundation of Islam in 1935. After Master Farrakhan Muhammad departed and hypocrisy broke out against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Disintegration, shredded. Some even sought his death, while others stood idly by, letting the slanderers have their way. So damn it, I just get rid of all of you. Well, I didn't slander. Well, you didn't do a damn thing either. So away with your raggedy ass. You don't get no credit for being on a goddamn fence. But the same occurred in 1975 after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad departed. And what was considered a powerful organization of disciplined men and women descended into rubble. And the Honorable Louis Farrakhan was divinely raised out of that rubble. And he began alone with the support of one whom Allah sent to him, Brother Jibril Muhammad. So what is to be expected after the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's departure to the Great Mother Plane? Should the world brace itself to witness another falling away within the lost foundation of Islam? Think on that question, because you're not thinking carefully enough. In my opinion, And of course, in the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's knowledge, or else I wouldn't be before you from him saying what I'm saying. So is the prophecy in the Holy Quran of Allah clearing the Messiah of his slanderers related to why the Honorable Louis Farrakhan stated in Savior's Day 2020 and Savior's Day 2021 that two great nations, the United States of America and the lost foundation of Islam, were unraveling. Don't say that. I can't bear to hear it. Let me just pretend like it's going to be all praises due to Allah. Well, you can't hide from that statement. Neither can I. Well, if the unraveling is not related to the spread of slander and hypocrisy, then why should the lost foundation of Islam unravel? Now, these are just questions that we must consider, since the Honorable Louis Farrakhan was very certain about the unraveling of both nations. Well, unraveling is not necessarily a bad thing, although the process might be taxing. According to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Mr. Yaqub was born to unravel the genetic defect of the brown germ in order to expose its weakness fully, thereby allowing us to analyze it, Allah, and then eliminate it. So it's better to be unraveled than to be destroyed. What do we mean? Well, in the Holy Quran, Allah states, if there had been among the destroyed peoples before you, O believers, virtuous individuals who forbade corruption in the land, other than the few we had saved from the torment. But the wrongdoers only pursued their worldly pleasures, becoming wicked. And your Lord, O Prophet, would never destroy a society unjustly while its people were acting rightly. So again, Allah saying, there was only a few that were virtuous enough to challenge the corruption. So he just saved that few and destroyed everybody else. If the few had become many, no destruction. Well, slander is corruption, and it causes corruption. So Allah raises the question as to why there were only a few persons virtuous enough to challenge the corruption that they knew was taking place. Well, how apt are we to challenge corruption that we know is taking place? Are we blinded by our so-called relationships with others to the extent that we permit wrongdoing among us? So many cut buddies, so many rodeos, so many homies. So if my homie does something wrong, I can look the other way because he's my homie. And by the way, who the hell is he? That's how we think. And you know I'm speaking the truth. So away with a Pharisee-like organization of cut buddies under the banner of the fruit of Islam or any banner. What makes us different from the fraternal order of police who hide their corrupt officers and cover them? Or you forget that we live in this country too and have been bitten by the same snake that has bitten everybody else. But we're supposed to do better because we have the Messiah in our midst. But you don't fear the shredding of the Nation of Islam like happened in 75 and 35. Because for some reason, we assume we're going to get through. But you need better support for that kind of assumption. And in the prophecies, there's no support for it. So again, we get no credit with Allah for watching slander spread among the people, even if we're not part of that slander. So Allah destroys the slanderers as well as those who care less or nothing about anything but themselves. So to the Farrakhan family, since the Honorable Louis Farrakhan recently said that there are many hypocrites in the Nation of Islam, he said that in his talk after the main lecture by student minister Ishmael Muhammad at this past Savior's Day, 2021. There are many hypocrites in the Nation of Islam and many hypocrites outside of the Nation of Islam. And then on another occasion, just recently, he said, I have many enemies around me. So as the Farrakhan family, how can you afford to fall asleep and let any slander associated with him slide by? You can afford it. So if I was the supreme captain, student supreme captain of the Nation of Islam, as well as the son of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, I would issue, I can't say a death threat, but it'd be damn near close to that, of anyone who says anything regarding the circumstances of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's departure from among the people, anything outside of the official statement by the Farrakhan family. You are under a threat, a great one. That's what I would do, because it's that serious. Now, when we consider the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's 40 plus year tenure as the Messiah among us, functioning as the Messiah, he did indicate that he would see Master Fard Muhammad again. He did that. He specifically told the Honorable Louis Farrakhan about his departure from among the people, meaning the Honorable Elijah Muhammad shared personal statements about his departure with the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. And these are the words from the Honorable Louis Farrakhan regarding that statement. It states, he said to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, "Brother, I'm going away. I'm going away to study. I'll be gone for approximately 3 years. Don't change the teachings while I'm gone. And if you are faithful, when I return, I will reveal the new teaching through you." Well, this is a very profound statement and promise made prior to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's departure in 1975. Now, there's much that could be said on this statement. We're 40 years away from that or plus. So we're not going to talk about the specifics of that statement, just what it generally means. So the Honorable Louis Farrakhan made it clear many years ago to this day that his expectation, if the Honorable Elijah Muhammad adjudged him as faithful, is to receive the new teachings upon his arrival or return back to the Great Mother Plain. Now, has the Honorable Elijah Muhammad found the Honorable Louis Farrakhan faithful? Now, of course, we can only say that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad knows this. However, if faithfulness is determined by the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's advancement through the fulfillment of the Messianic Prophecies since 1975, then he has been deemed faithful. Now, how can his oneness, how can he declare the Honorable Louis Farrakhan? How can he declare his oneness with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as he did at Savior's Day 2020 and not be deemed or judged faithful? Well, indeed, humility is always the best policy, and the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is an extremely humble servant. So he will never put himself out in front. However, the prophecies are there to inform us where we are in Allah's plan. Now, why am I saying this? Because hypocrites, stool pigeons that eat anything, federal agents masquerading as believers, and not one or two groups, with telephone connections in various locations. They're poised to throw as much doubt on the reality of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's identity and divine destination to the great mother plane as they possibly can. They will go about this by putting their wicked spin on his words, meaning they will take his words, which demonstrates his humility, and spin those words in a way to have the people believe that he did not see himself as anything else except a messenger of God. Well, how about the other words the Honorable Louis Farrakhan has spoken or have spoken, especially statements where he spoke of his departure to in return from the great mother plane and his future function? Well, the enemies, of course, will leave that out. We expect that. So the pressing issue involves our ability to detect the fulfillment of the prophecies. Since we say he's the Messiah, that shouldn't be an empty statement. We should be able to show it here. And we can, and we have. So let's take up a very important example of what we're addressing on this point, meaning taking his words and spinning them in a way which will cast doubt on his identity and whether he's going to the great mother plane or if he went 6 feet into the ground. Well, I learned of and later saw with my own eyes the meeting last September 20, where the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, last September 2020, where the Honorable Louis Farrakhan made a statement along these lines. It's a quote, but it's almost correct, if it's not precise. You all can't say that I am the Christ. That title or function belongs to the one empowered to destroy the wicked. That is our Father. He was referring to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, he could have said, you all can't call me, or you all can't say. It's the same thing. Well, he's speaking to the group of people at that meeting. Now, since I have been proselytizing the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's current function as the Messiah, before that statement was made, and his predestined function as the Christ that executes the judgment of this world, I immediately saw one reason why he was saying this. Again, his words are intrinsic to the fulfillment of the prophecies. This is why in 1972, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad commanded us to look at him. to listen to him and to obey him. Well, listening is an art. It's a little different from hearing. When you go to take a test to see if you can hear, you might hear a buzz, or they may do whatever they can to measure the response of your ear drum or whatever is involved in hearing. Ain't nobody gonna say a sentence or you read a book to you and ask you what was the meaning of that book. They just test your hearing with a few beeps or whatever they use. That's hearing. Listening is something different. It involves intellect, being rational. But we must know to some degree what to listen for. So just because we can shout, "That's right," doesn't mean that we're really listening. Well, again, for me, a few things immediately stood out as I heard those words from the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. You all can't say. You all can't say. Or you all can't call me the Christ. Well, first, who in that meeting was even calling him the Christ? Kind of perplexing, isn't it? I'm sure those there say, well, I ain't never called him the Christ, so I'm all right. I only knew that I have been representing him as the imminent Christ for more than 6 years. Most people have just come around to calling him the Messiah. So Christ is a big step and outside of what the current perception of reality is for most registered members of the Nation of Islam. The current disposition is that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the Christ. Yes. Well, several messages ago, I explained how the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was reserving the function of the Christ. This is why it is proper for the Honorable Louis Farrakhan to refer to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as the Christ until he ascends to the Great Mother Plane to receive and either reserve or execute the function of the Christ. Second, in the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's statement in that meeting in September 2020, he did not specifically say that he was not the Christ, did he? He just said, you all can't call me that. That's a big difference. Listening. Then I thought about many of those who would rush to condemn my representation of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan as the imminent Christ, not realizing that he was affirming my representation to them right before their eyes. Well, he did the same in my meeting with him in his hotel suite in February 2014 during the Savior's Day Convention in Detroit, where he stated to me, Brother Kevin, if you go around teaching that I am the Messiah, they will try to kill you, then they will try to kill me. So he first affirmed that I was teaching this. And second, of course, he did not deny the fact that he was that. I'm not sure if those who were there saying that's right thought he was the Christ at that time, the Messiah. I can only speak for what I had written and started writing in 1997. So where is the statement of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's, or where is his statement that he uttered in September 2020? Where is that found in the Messianic Prophecies? Since some of you are now proclaiming that he is the Messiah and that he is fulfilling the Messianic Prophecies. So did Jesus say these words to his disciples, to those that were very special to him? Well, in the Gospel of Luke, Jesus had to raise the question of his identity to his disciples. In the previous message, we discussed how John the Baptist was in the wilderness. He was not among Jesus' disciples who were with him in the temples and synagogues. The disciples did not know what to call Jesus. He had to raise a question. Perhaps they called him at that time a divine reminder, the embodiment of love, a great helper, the best helper. You know, all the names we refer to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan or put on him over the last 40 years, searching to place him somewhere. Or maybe not. It just sounds good, maybe. Well, at a certain point, Jesus had to confront the disciples about how they understood him. So he wisely begins by assessing their awareness of what others were saying around him, about him. So it states, and it came to pass as he, Jesus, was alone praying, his disciples were with him. Man, that's odd. He's still alone now. And he asked them, saying, whom say the people that I am? That's a heavy statement. First of all, you got to be listening to what the people are saying if you care enough. Well, some of them did. So it states regarding their response. They, disciples answering, said, John the Baptist, but some say Elias, and others say that one of the old prophets is risen again. So this indicates that the people were confused about Jesus' identity. They did not see Jesus completely as the fulfiller of what John the Baptist, Elias, and the old prophets prophesied regarding the Messiah, the Christ. Why not? Well, since Jesus was not representing himself to be the Christ, then who was Jesus? Who was he? Was he the forerunner of the Christ? Well, Jesus did not describe himself as that either, but he gave solid hints about his identity. Now, he may have wanted to see if anyone around him was picking up the hints and then was courageous enough to proclaim it. So is the Honorable Louis Farrakhan John the Baptist because he has been representing the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to be the Christ? Is he John the Baptist? Well, of course not, for a few reasons. First, according to the gospel prophecies, John the Baptist in the Messiah who becomes the Christ, the one predestined to execute the judgment of Allah, are present at the same time, according to the prophecies. This is why there was no John the Baptist function when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was among us. Was there? From what I understand, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan made the declaration publicly that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was not dead but alive, and that he fulfilled the prophecy of the Christ who's now on the right hand of God. That's how we begin calling the Honorable Elijah Muhammad the Christ. That was not done before he departed. Well, this fact takes Master Farrakhan Muhammad and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad out of the equation too. Neither of them could be John the Baptist. Master Farrakhan Muhammad is not John the Baptist, or Master Farrakhan Muhammad, you can't say he's John the Baptist simply because he went throughout the earth making friends for the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, according to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. Certainly, Master Farrakhan Muhammad, as the most powerful human being that ever lived and ever will live, is more than worthy to unlace the shoes of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. But this John the Baptist says, one mightier cometh than I, coming after me, the latchet of whose shoes I am not worthy to stoop down, first of all, and then unloose. So how can that be Master Fard Muhammad? And John the Baptist, again, is not a community of believers. We're all John the Baptists. That's like saying we're all Christs. But I'll entertain that. What community on earth, including in the United States, is representing the Honorable Louis Farrakhan as the imminent Christ, who comes after the work of John the Baptist, the one functioning as that? Now, the registered membership of the Nation of Islam is not representing the Honorable Louis Farrakhan to be the imminent Christ. Are you? And if you say that collectively this group represents John the Baptist, then does that make the Honorable Louis Farrakhan John the Baptist? Since you claim to follow him, but do not see him as the Christ? So if you say the community represents John the Baptist and you follow him, but you don't see him as the Christ, then obviously you think he's John the Baptist. It just makes no sense. We could come back to that point. Now, did the Honorable Louis Farrakhan say that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is to return from the Great Mother Plain in approximately 3 years after he, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, departs to the Great Mother Plain? Or did he say he's returning in 3 years or so? So what does that mean to you? Well, let's go back to the Gospel of Luke. Well, Jesus then asked the disciples, after he asked them what other people are saying about me, he asked them, and Jesus said, and he, Jesus, said unto them, meaning the disciples, but whom say ye that I am? Peter answering said, the Christ of God. Well, was Peter guessing? Did he make that statement to outdo what the other people were saying about Jesus? Well, only Peter answered the question, but his answer was in front of the others. So naturally, they would begin to consider what Peter said. So Peter here could represent the awareness of some people that I was advocating the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and am advocating the Honorable Louis Farrakhan as the Christ, the imminent Christ. Now here's something very interesting that Jesus says next. It states, and he, Jesus, straightly charged them, the disciples, and commanded them to tell no man that thing. What's that thing? It has to be that thou art the Christ of God. So Jesus did not deny Peter's statement. But why did Jesus command them to keep that quiet? More importantly, does these words fulfill the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's statement advising those present in that September 20, 2020 meeting that they cannot say or that they cannot call him the Christ? Does that fulfill that statement? Well, the answer to this question lies in the other things that Jesus said to his disciples following that statement. Jesus' next statement to his disciples would seem rather disturbing. He states, Jesus saying, the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected of the elders and chief priests and scribes and be slain and be raised the third day. So did the Honorable Louis Farrakhan discuss his departure, possibly on the heels of a death plot or what might be perceived as his death at that September 2020 meeting, after he made the statement commanding them not to call him that, the Christ? Yes, he did. So again, could that September 2020 meeting fulfill a significant prophecy described in the Gospels? But I know some of you were just eager to condemn me. You didn't even look at the scriptures to see where that meeting is in this place. Since it's such an epic, a monumental meeting, it has to be here. So just as Jesus did not deny Peter's answer regarding his identity, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan did not say that he was not the Christ. He just said, you all can't say that I am the Christ. So that's prophecy fulfilled for the doubters. Thank you for listening, taking this time to view this message. May Allah continue to bless you and your families. Assalamu alaikum.